So you speak really eloquently about Greta Thunberg and how part of the reason that maybe she's can be so direct and telling us that the house is on fire is that she's not mirroring. So I'm just interested in asking you, like, what is it about human nature that has taken us, like, this narrative about the threat of climate change has been around for decades, and we are a very smart animal, and so why have we been so stuck? It just reminds me of, I guess it's social mirroring, that when it comes to things like the Twin Towers or the Korean ferry disaster in 2014, or the Beverly Hills Supper Club that burned down in 1977 in Kentucky, when, like, literally the building was on fire, and when people are told, stay in your seats, it's going to be okay, a lot of them will do that. And some people will run to the exits, but a lot of them will stay in their seats. And we're in a situation where people are staying in their seats and there are no exits. So, we're really kind of trapped in this together. So I'm interested in your thoughts and what is with human nature. Is it the systems that we're in? Is it the way we're socialized? Is it greed? Like, what is it that's made it so intractable for so many years?
The argument I make in this changes everything is that it really is that we have suffered from this profound case of bad historical timing. If we look at the sort of key moment when governments got serious about the climate crisis and had the first intergovernmental meetings and created the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that was 1988. Canada hosted the first meeting in Toronto. Um, and and there was all of this there was all of this momentum and goodwill. Nathaniel Rich wrote this huge piece for the New York Times that got turned into a book about how 1988 was the moment, right? And we knew it, and we were going to act, but then somehow we didn't. And he says the answer was human nature. It was too far off, and we couldn't act in the face of a far off threat. My analysis, as somebody who's been part of the movements against neoliberal capitalism for a long time, is that 1988 was the year before the Berlin Wall collapsed. It was the first year that the Canada-US Free Trade Agreement came into force. It was the moment that the new world order was being declared under Clinton. Um, and it was the ascendant moment of the neoliberal project. I mean, 89, this is Francis Fukuyama declares history over. Margaret Thatcher had told us there is no alternative. So it was the absolute ascendant moment for the ideological project of privatization, deregulation, laissez-faire capitalism, get out of the way of the markets. And we have a generation, multiple generations now, of politicians who grew up utterly indoctrinated in that worldview. They don't want to govern. They don't even know how to govern. They're all they have done is unmake institutions, and their major governing achievements as they see it have been outsourcing and deregulation. And so the climate crisis is a crisis that demands action. It demands, my brother Seth Klein has a wonderful book out. Sorry to be nepotistic. It's called The Good War, and um, it's the lessons from what Canada did during the Second World War for the climate crisis, right? And he tells this incredible story of what Canada did during the Second World War. What Canada did during the Second World War in terms of creating all of these crown corporations to produce the armaments for the Second World War, the munitions, what the kind of activist government that happened in that period, and it's totally antithetical to the way politicians think now. The good news, I would say, is that I think the neoliberal project has been in profound crisis since the financial crisis in 2008. I think there is now a new generation of politicians that actually wants to govern, not just that wants to make, not just unmake the state. Um, and they're vying for power. And I mentioned Bernie Sanders. That was an extraordinary experience to be part of that campaign and see how many millions of people were drawn to that vision. I don't think it was a nostalgic vision. Bernie had the boldest Green New Deal plan of any politician, so far who's run a serious campaign anywhere in the world. Um, he really listened to social movements. He really put climate justice at the center. So that's what I attribute it to more than anything else is this historical mismatch between the kinds of things we need to do in the face of the crisis, which involves regulating corporations, taxing them, bringing things into the public sphere that can't be left to the market, and this ideological project that was telling us, no, we need to actually outsource everything to the private sphere, get out of the way, deregulate. Um, it's just a mismatch. But I do believe that we have a chance to truly bury neoliberalism right now, and that's what we have to do. I don't think that we act in the face of the climate crisis within the confines of neoliberalism.